So, prime topic, as everyone has probably ascertained, is magic. And the fact that there are, even though there's lots and lots of types, what people consider to be types of magic, there's really only two basics, okay, when it comes to mages. You've got sorcery and witchcraft. All right, that's why I commonly refer to them as the arts and crafts. Sorcery is an art, witchcraft is a craft. In the case of sorcery, it comes from a calm, serene, centered place that you find your center, you find your personal nirvana, and and manipulate the mana from there. Okay. Typically, depending on your racial variety, that may come. You may be manipulating the energies within your own body, but mages that are humans, on the other hand, they, even though they may have a penchant for magic, humans uniquely, well, not uniquely, rephrase that, as opposed to elves, yes, uh, they tend to be more inclined to use spell books and scrolls and magic items. Uh, and they learn to manipulate the forces in that venue. Okay. So sorcery is a calm, focused discipline. That's a really good way to put it too. It's a discipline. Okay. Witchcraft, on the other hand, comes from an entirely opposite place. Okay. Witchcraft is passion and desire and strength of purpose. Okay. Uh, there's a lot of love and hate, uh, sex and death. Not that there's not death in sorcery, but it's an entirely different concept, when it comes to witchcraft. It's all about wanting a thing to happen so bad that it does. Okay? You focus your energy towards your desires to make them happen for witchcraft. That's why it's a craft. Sorcery is the exact opposite. It is setting aside your uh, desires. It is putting your art ahead of your desires. Whereas in the case of witchcraft, you're using those desires to make a thing happen. So they are quite opposite. Uh, an interesting uh, parallel that isn't really, you know, pushed hard, but if any of you are familiar with, uh, well, I know everyone is familiar with Star Wars, right? It would be like the difference between a Jedi and a Sith. Okay. Whereas the Jedi are these calm, monk like beings that need to find their purpose, their center, their nirvana inside their souls. And then they use that serenity to cause a thing to happen. And that's sorcery. Whereas in the case of the Sith, they use their hatred and their anger and their pain to make things happen. You don't know the power of the dark side. And that is that is akin to witchcraft. So when even though there are many sub variety things that you can do in magic, the two, as far as mage goes, the two basic types are sorcery and witchcraft. Okay. Now, generally speaking, most people think, okay, when you're talking about types of magic, they think of arcane and divine. And that's not really what we're talking about right now. We're, we are talking about types of the arcane. All right. Divine magic is divided in the same way. Okay. It has a different nomenclature, but it's still divided in the same way. Okay. It is still an art and a craft. It's not sorcery and witchcraft, but it is still an art and a craft. Whereas in the case of arcane magic, whether you are a necromancer or a diviner or an arcanist, none of those things, those are all schools of magic. Okay? School of magic that you adhere to is the type that you are learning, but it is not where the magic comes from. It is not how it's cast. It is not the two types of arcane. All of the schools of magic fall under the two types. You could be nope. All is well, Ustilo. Belados for your attendance and have a seat. So, before I move on further from there, are there any questions about that basic tenet? See, this is a basic tenet when it comes to magic, and everyone that deals with magic, whether or not you are a caster or not, should understand those things. Okay, it's a basic tenet of magic. Whether you're trying to stop a person from another person from casting, or whether or not you are trying to be better at your chosen class, knowing the basic tenets is extremely important. Okay? I see. I see Archmage DeVere out there in the audience. Now he is a demonologist. Okay, and you're like, okay, so what does that have to do with anything? I said, well, that is the school that he focuses on. All right. Obviously, he's you know, that's only half of his self. But you know, hey, this is the half I'm going to play with right now. All right. So he's a demonologist. Now, That does not tell you whether or not he's a sorcerer or a witch. That doesn't tell you. He could be either. You know he's a mage because because sorcerers and witches are both mages. You know he's a mage, okay? But you don't know if he's a sorcerer or a witch. The only way you can find that out is finding out how he casts his magic. His if he focuses internally and draws his abilities out, his summoning demons and controlling them. If he does that from a center, from his own personal nirvana, then he's a sorcerer. If he's doing that from his passion and his desire and his anger and pain, well, then he's a witch. And he's a perfect example because I'm glad you're actually here. Because demonologists and necromancers and the darker mage types, people automatically assume that that you're a witch. If but that has nothing to do with it. Okay, whether or not you're a sorcerer or a witch depends on how you cast your magic, not on if you're a black mage or a white mage, or if you're a dark mage or a light mage. That has nothing to do with it. It has to do with how you do what you do. Okay? Let me look around here and pick on somebody else in the room that I know is all right. Okay. Warlock is the male name for witch. For those of you that don't know, which means you know that his magic comes from passion. That's how he does it. All right. I'm going to pick on Jalil Ninetails. Okay. She is a necromancer. And in the exact same venue as Archmage Devere, a necromancer is generally considered. Most people say, "Oh, well, you've got to be a witch because you deal with the undead." No, those two things don't have anything to do with each other. Okay, whether you're a witch or a sorcerer depends on how you cast your magic, not on what type of school you are running. Okay, you could have a diviner who is a witch just as well as they could be a sorcerer. Yes, your little blood raven. Go ahead. Well, okay. Yeah, we are not Wiccan. Okay, that is what that boils down to. In different religious contexts, they have different nomenclatures for all of the things. But as all of you know, I avoid uh, contemporary religious context vehemently. Okay, so for our purposes, a warlock is the name for a male witch. Okay. No, I'm not saying that we do not implore any Wicca at all, because we we explore every what's the word? Uh, we explore every ancient touch that we can. We just stay away from the modern. Okay, we stay away from the stuff that touches on the modern because people get too wrapped up in contemporary mythology. Okay, even to the point where people get so upset that they can't call it mythology. But when you talk about the past, when you talk about ancient days, then they they can wrap their brain around mythology a little bit much better. When you start looking at contemporary, then they stumble and trip and sometimes fall and break their nose. So I try to stay away from contemporary anything contemporary. I go with the ancient. The fact that I'm an archaeologist does help, but my personal self. So hopefully it helps you too. All right. Does that answer your question? All right. Cool. All right. Now back to the little nine tails. Now she's a necromancer, but we don't know. Well, some of us do, but generally speaking, no one in this room, until she says it, knows whether or not she's a sorcerer or a witch. Maybe she's told people and they already know the answer. So if you know the answer, don't speak up. All right, the little nine tails. We are posing the question: do you do your magic from a space of inner peace, or do you do your magic from anger, pain, love, hate, all that jazz, from passion? An attempt at inner peace. Maybe that, yeah, scholarly is that would be sorcery. Okay, see, scholarly magic is an attempt at inner peace because you focus in that venue. Okay, they a scholar is a sorcerer because they seek out that nirvana space. Okay, that interior, that space within them that allows them to connect to the universe. And in those cases, you're using witchcraft. Now, you're a guild leader, so the fact you use sorcery and witchcraft doesn't make it makes perfect sense. And actually, that brings up a very very good point. Thank you for bringing that up. Just because, just because you are you're your focus is in one direction. Just because this is what you do does not mean that you throw the other one out the out the window. Uh, uh, Jilla Coyote has coined a phrase. It's probably an old one. I mean, I know it's an old one, but she was the first person to bring it up to me. Is there's a thing called don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, and that is exactly what we're talking about right here. Just because you are not a witch, do not discount the fact that you can utilize craft. It's arts and crafts for a reason. You may be an artist, but it does not mean that every once in a while that you can't be filled with passion and throw some things out in a passionate way, and vice versa. And vice versa. Now, there are admittedly some spells that can only be done with one with well, rephrase this, that are better done with one type or the other. Example, golems. Yes, and that's witchcraft right there. Example of golems. Now, a clay golem requires a great deal of scholarly pursuit, requires a great deal of sorcery. Same with a any of the metal golems. Okay, that is it requires so much focus that you need to be using sorcery in order to make a clay or metal golem. Okay, smack them upside the head, and hopefully you'll get back before we're done here. However, in the case of like a scarecrow, all right, Jack, perfect example. That requires witchcraft because it requires a lot of passion to get that scarecrow to burn without actually burning. Okay, requires a lot of passion in order to get that particular type of golem rolling. Okay, doll golems also is witchcraft. Now, I guess the most common doll golems that you probably are familiar with are the effigies uh, that are used in hexes and stuff. That you see in movies and things where people pick uh, build an effigy of someone and they pinprick it and it causes something else to happen to another individual. Okay, that's a kind of that is a type of doggo, but also something. There have been more and more visualizations of other types of dog golems. Chucky. Yes, voodoo dolls. Does anyone here know who Chucky is? Or anyone not know who Chucky is? He and uh, the bride of Chucky is. Okay, thank you for bringing that up. Actually, Metallicae are a metal golem. Okay, but metallic eye or a methyl golem. Building their body requires sorcery. Building their heart requires witchcraft. Okay? So they are a combination. They require both. That is also one of the most difficult ways of construction. That's why they, in the many, many moons past, the dark dwarves and the deep gnomes were forced to work together. Okay? Because they had to combine science and sorcery. All right? For lack of a better word. They combine witchcraft and sorcery. And um, most people, uh, even though you may be really good sorcerer and you can do some witchcraft, chances are, most of the time, unless you're really really high level, um, you're not gonna be at the same level in witchcraft as you are in sorcery. Not numerical level, but I meant ability wise. Okay, deep gnomes, not deep elves, but that's okay. I just want to clarify that when this gets out in writing. It's dark dwarves and deep gnomes. They were forced to work together by the illithid. Okay. Uh, so I should take a moment and let you ask questions. Witchcraft is not sorcery, and it was never changed. So I'm not sure. No, witchcraft is not sorcery, and it's not a change. That is the way it has always been. Always. Sorcery. They're both they're both magic. They're both arcane magic. Okay? An arcane user, arcane mage, both sorcerers and witches use arcane magic. Okay? They're both mages. All right? And so it's easy to for most people to think that they're the same thing, but they're not. Okay? Arcane means both of them. Okay? An arcanist is someone who uses witchcraft and sorcery equally. That is what an arcanist does. That is the specialty of an arcanist. But no, that has not changed. Sorcery is calm, peaceful, scholarly magic. Witchcraft is the passionate love hate magic. This is true. Sometimes, because of the passion that goes into it, sometimes witchcraft might include a deity because people get zealous. Okay, witches are often zealots, not always, but often. Okay, they can be quite zealous about their things, so that may or may not include a deity. Sorcerer, uh, not very likely. Possible, but not likely. Yes. Dark Elfar are inherently sorcerers. But is that what you're asking? Generally speaking, but because they have so much hate and pain, they make excellent witches too. Well, the branch of Dark Elfar known as the Drow, uh, they do have the Spider God, uh, but that's an entirely different scenario. Okay, generally speaking, uh, generally speaking, your race may lean you in a direction, but doesn't necessarily make you into a place. Divine magic is power that comes from the god, okay, or you know from a divine force. Just because someone is a zealot towards a deity, does not mean they're getting their magic from that deity. Okay, you can have someone that uh, you can have a witch that is really focused on a deity, and they're getting all their hate and anger out of them in the name of that deity. Okay, but they're still a witch because they're not getting their power from that deity. Okay, if you're getting your power from the deity, then it's divine magic. Does that help? Okay, excellent. All right, so all right, go ahead. Ask your question real fast. You're still confused about the difference between arts and crafts. Because I'm about to move on to familiars. So this is it's not that you won't get the chance to ask questions, but uh, yes, I will. Okay, there is arts and crafts for divine magic, absolutely. Okay, but we'll have to save that into. That's a very good question, but we will save that for next class because that's going to take at least as much time as what I'm talking about now. Okay? Witchcraft is not sorcery. Okay? Witchcraft comes from passion. Sorcery comes from serenity. Okay? That's there's a very distinct difference into it. Okay? There's a very distinct difference. Witchcraft comes from passion. Sorcery comes from serenity. Do you get that? That is the basic tenet from of magic, arcane magic. Yes, divine has arts and crafts too, but we will save that one. We'll save divine magic, arts and crafts for next class. Basic tenet is a sorcerer. Use sorcery is serenity. Witchcraft is passion. Okay? Go ahead, Corey. You have a question? Doo-doo. Correct, Jalil Nine Tails. That is why I don't use the term angel. All right. Okay, so someone must have already got their head smacked in, and because Jalil Blood Raven's back. Most excellent. Welcome back. Sometimes head smacking doesn't take long. All right. Uh, I while Core formulates her question, I'm going to talk about familiars a little bit. Oh, here we go. Magic is divided. Okay. That we will save your question till next time, till Core. But you are doing very, very well. And so, in both of those things, okay? And that is why it can be divided into arts and crafts. But just like mages, you can dip into both because some things require a different place for you to come from, okay? And we're about to talk about familiars right now. Okay? Um, but save your priest questions. You can ask them all you want, but try to keep them in your mind because my next class, I will be having this class except for divine magic. We'll be doing arts and crafts with divine magic that day. Okay. All right. Now familiars. Okay. As we all know, familiars are a being that comes from somewhere else to come and aid us in some way. Now, that aid is subjective, okay, because familiars have their own personalities, okay? They have their own minds, okay? They're not minions, okay? A minion is a mindless being that carries out your bidding. A familiar is not. A familiar is not mindless. Okay? A familiar is a being that they have their own drives. Okay, they have their own needs and wants and desires, and they are coming to aid you because by doing so, in some way, you are going to be aiding them. Okay. Now, the variety of possibilities is uh, is massive. Cats, good example there. Um, that's that was very funny. Yes, minions are mindless. Familiars, they are aiding you because you also are aiding them in some way. Okay, and it can be the cat. The reason that cats are such a good example is because they come to you for them. They're giving they're getting their food and pets and stuff, and that's what they get out of it. They get something out of it. Familiars get something out of it. Okay, a minion doesn't need anything out of it because they are mindless. Okay, a familiar will always have the same alignment as you. Okay, that's the one thing that is always consistent. Okay, even though they have their own agenda, that agenda includes you. Okay, and so they are going to have the same alignment as you, and you keep that in mind when you have one. Okay, because their agenda does include you, so it's not in their best interest to get you killed. Let's say you are chaotic evil and you get closet. That closet's going to be chaotic evil, obviously, okay? And you're going to end up doing some as much stuff as they're going to be doing your bidding, quote unquote. In their brain, they can you can be doing their bidding as well. Higher ranks of familiars. Okay, actually, that is a really good question. All right, the higher ranks of familiars, as you go up in level, you can start getting some pretty. There are some pretty powerful choices. All right, uh, ex- example like uh, I won't use myself as an example. Well, because I'm the magician. Um, let me use Ondine. Ondine. Okay, I don't know. I don't know what level you are, Jilaraka, but Ondine I can mess with. Ondine is pretty much the highest level that you can achieve without being in the conclave. So I'm going to use her. She is going to have the. Oh, okay. Zeeb's familiar. All right. All right. Uh, we'll come back to you then in a second then. So anyway, higher rank of familiars. In the case of Jill Ninetails there, now her familiar is going to be basically the highest rank that you can possibly achieve on a regular basis. And so she might have access to um, a pixie, brownie, uh, greater pseudo dragon, uh, closet, imp, uh, there are a few of the undead types that she could have access to. Um, she could have access to a lesser mummy, ghoul, ghast, uh, werewolf, and yes, werewolves are not like it. Right? Werewolves are not like it. Werewolves are basically undead wolves. All right, they are like and don't like werewolves. Just so you know, in case you didn't know that. you know. Let's see here. Werewolves are intelligent, but you know, I'm sure that as a wolf you would want to thrash him anyway. Okay. Yes, a raven that that is what that is the familiar. Okay, here that's a good example. Thank you for bringing that up. Now, a uh, simple animal, for lack of a better word, um, when it becomes a higher order or familiar, it has more abilities. Okay. Let's say at level one, you get a raven. Okay. Because raven is possible to have at level one. Okay. And it continues to be your familiar all the way up to level five. You are now guild leader and you have a level five raven. Well, that level five raven also has powers. Okay. Because it was it every level they go up, they get an ability. All right. Obviously, the prime ability they have is to be able to mind link with their caster, and so you can see through their eyes. Well, as they go up in level, they will get other abilities. Uh, can can be as extreme, like a level five, that Raven may have teleportation, self teleportation. It can't bring anybody with it, but it may have teleport. Okay, it could possibly be, by level five, that a Raven that was level one originally could have teleport. Okay, um, they're not going to have attack abilities. Okay, familiars don't generally have things like fireball. No, they don't have that. You're not going to have your familiar is not going to have attack abilities, but they could, they will have abilities like that are in the divination fields. They can have defense ability, but they're not going to have attack abilities. Like they may, uh, you're a level five raven. That raven might have a force field, you know, to prevent it from being able to be physically attacked, or a magic shield, to prevent it from being able to be hit by magic, or a firewall, so it can prevent it from being hit by ice magic. Okay. No, that's a good question. Actually, these are not annoying, and I'm glad you're asking them. How would you know? Well, you know because of what level you are. All right. Now, the animal familiars go up. All right. So if you have Uh, the basic ones are like frogs, cats, ravens, crows, um, your critters. Okay, at level one you can get a critter. Okay, and a critter, well, obviously at level five, a critter is going to have level five powers. At level two, you get the next setup. I mean, you might get a fox, okay, or a uh, bobcat, or a lynx, or an eagle, or a hawk, large hawk. You know? And then at level three, you're going to get like um, a wolf, or a uh, a bald eagle, okay, or a puma, okay. At level five, you might get a lion, a tiger, or a bear. Oh my. Okay, that's at level. That's at level four. Okay, and then that's level four. I'm sorry. At level five, you might get an elephant or a uh, smaller type of dinosaur, maybe even Deinonychus or Velociraptor, or okay. As far as standard animals go, okay, that's what we're talking about right now. Because a smaller dinosaur, not like a T Rex or something like that, but you could possibly, go with a Velociraptor. All right, those are standard animals. Okay, now a standard animal, they get powers as they go up in level. So you're looking at that a level five. So if someone's level five and they have an elephant, well, that elephant's not going to have any other powers. Okay, all right, because it's level five. Okay, it's not going to have any other powers. It's already awesome. But let's say you got a rat at level one. By the time it's level five, it has some powers on it. Okay. Level three, you got a wolf. All right. Wolves are already awesome themselves. So at level three, you got the wolf. Well, if you get to level five, that wolf is going to have two other powers. Okay. They're not going to be teleport because that is, you know, obviously, you started in the middle, so you're not going to get the level five abilities. You're going to get the level three types. Um, a level five, let's say a guild leader's wolf, might have fire shield or pass without trace or um, shadow step, okay, or uh, fade in shadows. Okay, the abilities go up in level. Yes, and the level of the mage equals the level of the familiar. Okay, that is how that rolls. Now, whether or not you get a wolf or a lion or a rat, that is all up to the role play and how things roll out. There's so many possible cool factors there. Okay. Um, but and where you cast it at. So, example. Okay, thank you for that. I'm trying. Yeah, I got 7 minutes. Okay, magical creatures. Magical creatures are. Uh, it's in a different venue, but there are the same. All magical creatures have powers already. Okay, but at level one, they're only going to be manifesting one. They're not going to be manifesting any other power except for be able to look through your eyes. Okay, and you look through their eyes, and etc. etc. You know, like all familiars. As they grow up in level, just like the mage, as the mage grows up in level, and your imp grows up in level, they're going to get other abilities that were already assigned to an imp. Okay, so a level 5 imp is going to have most, if not all, of the powers that are assigned to imps. Galtrits, uh, Quasits, uh, Unicorn. All right. Now, obviously, you have to be pretty powerful to have Unicorn as a familiar, but it is not impossible. Unicorns can teleport, and they can teleport with a rider. All right. But you obviously have to be past level 5 in order to have a Unicorn. Um, or be. It's it's possible. Let's just leave it at that. But it's not standard. It's not basic, and most people aren't going to be able to do it. But it is possible. You're more likely to have a ranger with a unicorn or a cavalier than a mage, but it is possible. I know that I talk fast, and I apologize. Okay, did that answer your question? All magical creatures are along those same lines. They start out at level 1 if you are lucky enough to actually get that. Then they are not going to have powers at level 1. They'll have powers later on. Okay. Doom, 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 doom. Yes. Um. They their character does automatically get those powers, but I fully advocate that they you have them attend classes so that they know how to use them. They have those powers, okay? Because of you. You automatically have them. But that doesn't mean they can use them. They don't know how to, may not be able to use them. If you're familiar with the X-Men, all right, the reason the Professor Xavier's school exists is because people with powers don't know how to use them. Okay? Does that make sense to you? I totally agree. No, they only their powers depend depend on your level, okay? And it depends on the type it is, okay? Like I said, a rat or a crow, at level 1, once they hit to level 5, they're going to have some pretty decent powers. All right. Now, in a familiar in battles, okay, if they have battle usable abilities, I agree with that. I think you should. Um, I agree with that. But anyway, if a familiar has battle usable abilities, by all means use them in battle. Okay, but they're not gonna have attack forms like fireball. Okay, but they could, have shields. They might, have a shield that gives them magic resistance, or a shield that gives them defense, additional defense. That's distinctly possible. Okay. Yes, I'll go back. We'll get back on track. Argo will Argo will keep you all posted on when my next class is. I apologize. I have to go to work right now, so I'm going to. I apologize for dropping things right now, but I just looked at the time and I gotta go. So, Belados for your attendance, and I am going to leave this in the Red Magister's hands and let him close it out. My apologies, Belados for your attendance. Been for now.
Hello, how are we doing? Denon, yes. Denon, in case you're not aware, all your classes are always approved, man. Anybody here hears it from me and Malekith both. So if Denon's holding familiar classes, you want to learn to be more about a familiar, do so. Ondine holds one for the Ithrin Guild. Betting Zoskia does as well too. So you want to get with the higher ranks. I'm unsure if Lark does or not. Um, I don't know Lark's full curriculum, sadly. I'm so enmeshed in other curriculums within Taru that I know Lark handles it, and that's all I need to know. So for that particular purpose, while the GA itself is not right at this moment requiring um, familiars to take classes, it's highly suggested so you know how to play your. It's the same thing as if you're leveling in a guild as a ranger. You want to know how to RP your character within the GA. You might already have all the knowledge you need, but the GA runs things from a mixed match uh, hodgepodge of collections from many different resources. So it's always good to kind of see how things are done in the GA to learn just a little bit more about how you can best promote and roleplay your character to the fullest potential that it can have. It's okay, Malachi. I understand. That was more meant for most of the people here, and I saw Trinity got the question. Cool. So let's go ahead and finish up with any more questions on familiars. It means that we're not gonna force them to do it, Dylan Ray, at this time. That's what Malekith was saying. He doesn't want them to have to do it, but as a guild master, you can make a person do it within your guild. That's your right. Sim owners can also require it as well. Thank you, Nick. So that's why we don't need to require. If a guild master feels that a class should be held, then that guild master puts it into the. That's what we trust our guild masters to do for us. Does that help? Does that help, Dylan Ray? No, no. Thank you for bringing it up. It's good that we clarify these things. Um, so yeah, I mean that's why we put our full trust in GA guild leaders to handle their stuff. Did I miss any questions? If not, ask away. The last I knew the ruling, and so far it's unchanged, was one. It is actually technically one for every class, as far as I'm aware. The ones where there might be some confusion would be shaman, I think, because of the totems. However, their actual companion slash familiar is that their primary choice of totem becomes what is called their warder. So if they choose another animal totem after that, while they may have an animal that is friendly to them of that nature, of that species, it is not their warder. Any other questions? I'll close out when we've got the questions answered up. So, excuse me. Okay, I think we'll go ahead and we'll just call the ROE there then. I know Malikith wanted me to close it out. I know he ran a little bit longer than what he wanted to. Uh, just once more, um, you're Denon, Ondine, Saskia, Lark, all good people to go to for any questions on the familiars. If anybody needs updated data, you can get with me or Malikith, just to make sure that everything's updated. Other than that, I can't think of anything else to go over that wasn't already covered for the basics of the familiars. So, thank you for attending and have a wonderful day. Appreciate it.